Hello, 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 and welcome to the Cup TV, the Currently Unnamed Podcast, where we put the reality in reality. And you can always come to us first to quench your thirst. I'm your first trader, Lana, your resident evil diva, and I'm here to give the tea, spill the tea, and drink the tea because you know I loves me some tea. Her. And I am just drinking on some orange sun because it's lunchtime, and that's what I got. But what I most importantly have is my cup mug. Uh-huh. And you can get your cup mug. Ooh, we have a panel full of cup mugs, panel full of cup mugs. Beer, 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 beer. Traders edition. Mm-hmm. And you can get your cup mug or any of our beautiful cup merch at LanaGsCreations.etsy.com. That link will be in the description below. And we do ship internationally and domestically, so there are no excuses unless your postal service is a little slow. And that's okay because it might be slow, but a denial is a delay is never a deny. So you can still get your cup merch. It just might come a little later, but you can still get it. So get your cup merch. Period. I wonder who my next trader is. Oh my god! I had no idea.
Oh my god, I had no clue. Oh my gosh, hi, I'm Logan Murphy, I'm gay. I am feeling very healthy today, so I'm drinking a mixed berry smoothie. Because it's lunchtime and I didn't have time to make anything else. And so I was like, I'm gonna have a smoothie because I can drink that on the podcast.
Period. I wonder who our next trader is, though.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so.
I genuinely was about to suffocate.
Yeah.
This is a weirdly familiar trader's turret. Have we met before somewhere?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
You don't look
Okay,
familiar.
cool. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe I just am seeing
You remind me
faces.
of some guy we've left on an island before, but like otherwise not really.
Right. But I don't think he
That's
would be
probably my
here.
cousin.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Anyway, my name is Jack. I am your lovely game designer of the panel, and I'm just here to watch people scream at each other.
Period.
Period.
And I wonder who this.
I finished my water. Go.
Who's this trader here? Oh my god!
Ew!
Oh my god!
Making my first appearance in the turret. Hello, everybody. Hi, it's Brook, and I am passionate about pop culture, and I'm so excited to be here. I'm drinking a generic bottle of water. Hold on one second, I have the clip. Thank you very much. So
I didn't hear it, but that's fine.
I heard it on my end. That's all that matters. Beside the point. I'm excited to finally be here to maybe commit some murders. Maybe.
Absolutely. And that's what we're here to discuss. We're here to talk Traitors US. The first 3 episodes dropped on Peacock, and I was so excited to watch last night. And we're going to talk about it. But before we do, y'all know what to do. Hit the subscribe button. For this channel, I told y'all we're making a goal to have 8,000 subscribers by the end of the year. And so I'm going to work my butt off to make sure that happens. And so I need you to do your part and just subscribe, get your friends to subscribe. I'm going to give you all the content. We're going to give you all the content. I keep saying like I'm doing it all by myself. We're going to give you all the best content that
Thanks,
we
Lana.
can.
Appreciate it.
Even when I correct it, you still got to be sassy. Sometimes you just need to zip your mouth. Anyway, we're going to do the best that we can to make the content the best we possibly can so we can earn your subscriptions, and we appreciate it. But you can subscribe to this channel, and we have 3 other channels you can subscribe to. All those links will be in the description below, as well as our audio podcast link. So if you need to check us out on the go, as well as our Patreon, if you get early access and exclusive content across all 4 channels. And we're going to do better with getting some early access and exclusive content from this channel as well. So we're going to work on that. All the things are happening in 2025, and we just want you to participate. So there we go. Let's get into it because we got a lot to talk about. We start seeing the cast come rolling in, and everybody's like in the different cars, like, who are you expecting? Are you excited? Ooh, look at this. This is so exciting. This is scary. Oh my God, look at this. Oh. I was just like, okay, yep, chatter. Who are we looking forward to seeing? Who are we not looking forward to seeing? And we get right off the bat that people were like, I don't know if I can see Brittany. Oh, Brittany was like, I don't know if I don't know if I want to see Danielle. And we look, and who's in the car? The other car? Danielle.
Of course.
Mhm.
Who would have thought that reindeer games, of all things, would have brought us this much drama and intrigue and drama
And intrigue.
And Paramount Plus, this is my message to you right now. Why'd you take reindeer games off of Paramount Plus? Why is it no longer available?
Lost
Because
media.
Here's the thing. I went to go show my roommate. My roommate and I watched the first 2 episodes together. And I went to go show him the reindeer games moment between Brittany and Danielle. Because this is his first, I will say, I'm very proud of him. This is his first foray into Danielle Reyes. And he is already obsessed.
Can match that because my roommate is in the same area. He likes Danielle.
As he
Taste.
He was like literally freaking out anytime Danielle did anything. And I was like, yes, welcome to Danielle Reyes. Welcome to the experience that is Danielle Reyes. Thank you for finally joining me on this. But I went to go show him the clip from Reindeer Games, and I realized that Paramount Plus had taken it off. So you know what, Paramount Plus? Fuck you.
They also took off Challenge USA the same time they took it off. Nobody's gonna miss that, but
Not really.
but
Yeah, no, it was definitely some weird timing, especially since they knew this was happening. And they're also now at the same time posting clips like across all Big Brother social media of reindeer games, which is an interesting decision to then remove it in the same breath so people can't go figure out where the fuck those clips are coming from. So
It makes no sense.
But to me, this feels like the best opportunity to come look at it, because if you're like, God, it feels. But then you look at it a little bit more. It's like, no, why would you not keep it up to get extra clicks on it? That's my thought, because you're gonna
it
get.
doesn't make any sense.
It was kind of stupid, but they come through the gates. They see the masked men and they're like, ooh, this is scary. Oh my God, I don't know. They get to the cars and they get out the cars. Gabby is like, wait. Oh, it was Chriselle. She was like, oh, do you see who it is? I'm not saying hi to him. And I was like, period.
Mother behavior.
Correct.
Mother. I loved Chriselle before this. I'm so happy. Chriselle is such a random casting choice in this group, but fits so perfectly. And I just love the amount of contempt that her and Gabby are going to have for Tom Sandoval this whole season. And I, for one, am thankful for it.
You know, somebody needs to hold space for that, honestly.
I'm about to say, don't forget Nikki Bella, because she was like, yeah, no, I'm not talking to him.
We
she was like, no. She was just like, no, I'm not talking to him. Like
the trio, we'll talk about it, but the trio, oof. Ooh.
It's about to become a duo, but
it's a lot going on, but then Brittany sees Danielle and she's like, oh my gosh, my heart sank to my butt and I don't know. And so her and Danielle have this emotional moment. Danielle was like, Brittany, I don't want to do it. I want to do it, but I'm about to. I want to do it, but I'm about to. And she was like, Brittany was like, I know, I messed up. I know I messed you over. I hurt you. And she was like, yeah, I was hurt. This whole thing. Mother Danielle is like, look here. I don't need no more adversaries in this game. I don't want nobody who is going to come against me. I forgive you, but I don't forget. And I was like, duh. There's a lot of talking. So we get to the first twist. Alan comes out. Yay, woo, on the horse. Good, great. Looks great. Tells the followers to leave. all the followers leave but one. And then the follower comes forward and he reveals that it's Boston Rob and he wants to join the game.
Tomato.
Sure. I guess he wants to join the game. Sure. Rob wants to join, but somebody has to step up, shake Alan's hand, and Rob will join the game. But if they step up and shake the hand, they then have to eliminate someone right away. And I was like, woo, didn't expect this. And nobody steps up to shake the hand. Nobody steps up.
Taste.
Nobody steps up.
The way I was like, Carolyn.
Because I thought she was going to be the one.
I was happy. I was thrilled.
I honestly thought she was going to be the one. Mm-hmm.
I did think either Chriselle or Nikki was going to stand up and eliminate Sandoval. Thankfully, that didn't happen because otherwise we find out later that the specific use of the word exile here instead of eliminate is very important. Because we find out, obviously, this is a twist because they wouldn't take Rob this far to just be like, go home, leave, no one wanted you, get out.
I mean, but Survivor pullout did happen, and they did literally said Wanda and Jonathan home after driving them all the way out to Palau. But I mean,
yeah, but this is Rob.
I'm about to say, was he a celebrity?
No. I'm just saying it's been done before, but it would be stupid. It would be very stupid.
It would be very stupid.
But the second he walked away, I looked at my roommate. I'm like, yeah, we'll see him again at some point.
I knew it was happening. But Rob is for right now the first eliminated, quote unquote, exiled, quote unquote, person.
Question mark, whatever we want to call it.
Right. So they're gone. Nobody steps up. And so we go in the house. We do our normal chitty chat. Look at here. This house is beautiful. Look at this castle. Oh my God, you're here. Who do you think's this? Who do we think is going to be this? Blah, blah, blah. A lot of just talking because everybody's still equal. No traitors have been formed. No traitors have been named. So everybody's still equal. And it's just a lot of just talking and, getting to know each other, trying to figure out who wants to be traitors, who doesn't want to be traitors. And Tony goes in a room with Carolyn, Jeremy, and Wells and sit there and try to tell them he don't want to be a traitor. I want to be a faithful. I was like, Sir, who you think you lying to? You ain't lying to the public. And you definitely ain't lying to Carolyn because Carolyn was like, that's some bullshit.
See, when Tony got announced for this cast, I really wondered if we were going to get like Winners at War Tony or if we were going to get Game Changers Tony. This is Game Changers Tony.
Or whether we were going to get Kagian Tony.
No, we're never getting that ever again. But but the second he did that, I'm like, oh no, this is Game Changers Tony. Fully, totally Game Changers Tony. I liked that Carolyn immediately clocked him and was like,
bullshit.
I don't believe you. I don't believe you.
No. I was like, who do you think you're talking to? What game do you think we playing? You think I don't know you? Like, come on. And so she looked at Jeremy like, did we not come here to play? Like, what game are we? And Jeremy was like, I mean, it's like, come on. And so Tony's like, Carolyn, well, say something. Wells is like, hold on, wait, I ain't got nothing to do with this. This is Survivor. I don't want to be on that show. Thank you. Bye. Like
he's gone.
I love Wells so much.
I'm a fan of Wells. I like Wells. He's
fully on the beach.
He's like,
fully on the beach. He doesn't have to deal with this shit. His stuff is furnished. Like
literally,
gone.
he's been a part-time bartender and part-time therapist on Bachelor in Paradise for the last 7 years. Like, he don't need this shit.
He don't need this. Well, Wells was like, I don't need this strategy talk. I don't need this conniving and deception. I'm on a beach, taking drinks, pouring drinks, and occasionally meeting people that I want to kiss every now and again. That's it. That's it. I don't do this.
No, he doesn't even do any of the kissing anymore. He's just there.
I mean, before he found somebody.
Well, yeah, but now he's just emotional support Wells. That's
Absolutely,
all he is
because he got a girlfriend. He got his mate. He found his mate on Bachelor in Paradise. So it's like
work diva.
Yeah, love that for him. So now he's just like, I'm just a bartender and a therapist. I don't need to do any of this conniving, strategizing bull crap. So I'm gonna get out of here. Love Wells. But it's just a lot of talk, y'all, because until we find out who the traitors are, everybody's just trying to decide what people want to do and who do you think could be and what possibilities might happen. So I think we should just go to the round table where the traitors are about to be named. And Alan does what Alan does. And he's like, put your blindfolds on. I'm going to pick my traitors. If I tap your shoulder, you are a traitor. I like how I said that. A traitor. I can almost do it. But he walks around the room. Now, I don't know. Me, Jack, Brook, we did our draft picks and we did our initial traitors who we thought were initially going to be traitors.
Thanks for reminding me, Lana. I appreciate it.
I mean, not my fault you couldn't be here. Not my fault. Anyway.
Hey, I also did my predictions. I also did mine.
Hey, do we want to let Team Logan be the two people who weren't eligible in the draft? Just so Logan can have a team.
I mean, I'll take it.
You get one good person and Derek. Have fun.
No, I was going to say I have one good person and Wes.
I'm about to say both
much.
of them are equally.
Not too much.
Equally, I think they're both on equal playing fields to me. Both of them are just as I'm indifferent about both of them. So, but they go. Who did you? So okay, since I don't know who you did your predictions, who were your initial traitors?
I did get one. And then I was so off. My initial predictions were Bob the Drag Queen, Ion, because apparently we're not calling her Chanel, we're calling her Ion, and I was confused.
Ion.
Yes.
I was so confused. I was so confused.
So
because everything preseason was saying Chanel, so I was very confused.
So there is a weird there's a thing with that. Ion's actual name is Ion, but she has the name Chanel Ion because she named herself that. So it's her choice whether or not she uses either.
Oh. Wow.
I thought it might have been just like a branding thing. Like there might have been.
It is also definitely a branding thing.
But then that means they can't cast anyone named Chanel? No, I don't like that.
It's
a spelling thing.
I said Bob the Drag Queen, Ion, and Dorinda were my initial.
Okay. Jack, who are yours?
Mine were Bob the Drag Queen, Tony, and Gabby.
Okay, Brook, who were yours?
I said Bob the Drag Queen, Chriselle. I don't remember who my third pick was. Who was it? Tony? Tony.
Yeah, it was Tony because we matched on 2.
Yeah, and mine was Bob the Drag Queen, Wells, and I can't remember who my third was. It was Ion. Oh,
I have it up right now. So yeah.
In other words, we all struggled.
So guess what? We all tied.
We all
tied, and for some reason, we did all pick people just like in general who either were traitors or went home because people thought they were traitors or died real quick. Like it was fast.
The crazy part is I don't know why I did not say Danielle Reyes. Like, I don't even understand why that did not run through my mind, because that was the person who I wanted to be the traitor so badly. And I don't know why I didn't say them.
When I tell you, I love Danielle Reyes with every fiber of my being. I do. genuinely the most shocking traitor choice I have ever seen in every season I have watched. I did not expect, not in no universe, in no universe did I expect.
I'm also going to hold you.
I'm thrilled, but in no universe did I expect her to be a traitor.
Jack, I'm right there
number
with you.
She's number 2 for me because the other person besides the two. Okay, so Bob is a traitor. That's the one we all have right. That's the one I think every single person expected walking in because how could you not?
How could you not?
Danielle and Carolyn.
Because I remember when we were doing the cast assessment, all three of us said, "Yeah, they're not going to make Carolyn a traitor.
They're not picking Carolyn.
No fucking way." But here's the thing: I'm not trying to jump ahead. She has done a fantastic job so far. I am.
Oh,
she is actually one of the best. She is the best traitor thus far.
For some fucking reason.
For some reason,
Jack, you're not complaining either, are you?
Oh, not at all.
In that damn draft.
She is actually the best traitor we have right now because she is the only one thinking. The only problem is nobody listens to her. And I'm like, but she says, this happens my whole life. Nobody listens to me because I'm the weird girl. I'm the weird freak. And nobody wants to listen to me. But her reads and her reasonings are so spot on. Like, so spot on. I'm like, eventually it's going to come down to two things. Either Carolyn is going to get sick of them not listening to her and she's going to turn on them, or they are going to get sick of her rambling and they go turn on her.
Unfortunately, yeah. My honest thought is that Carolyn attempts to turn on Danielle because that's the person she's consistently arguing with. Danielle wins that because Danielle and Bob are together, but that ends up exposing either Bob or Danielle, and they both go out. So basically, they need to stay together as a trio. Otherwise, I see them going out very quickly together.
You were going to say, Logan?
Oh, I mean, just look at the way she started Survivor 44, talking about Carolyn. Like, we all remember how she started. Nobody paid attention to her. No one took her seriously. But we all know how good Carolyn is. These people should understand how good Carolyn is. I do fear that I don't even think having the additional factor of the other traitor that we'll talk about shortly is even going to do anything beneficial for Carolyn. I do feel like they're just going to end up taking her out because they just can't stand her. When, truthfully, she is the person with the most correct opinions.
Yeah. Well, we're going to talk about the first turret murder in a little bit, but when we get to it, she's been very impressive. Like, and not just with her game sense, but also her ideas. She's so creative with her decisions. I think Carolyn is definitely somebody we need to keep an eye on because no pun intended. But like, I think there is a very real world where they don't have the opportunity to turn on her because one of them gets exposed and then they need her. And I think if that happens, nobody is on her right now. Not a single person. And even Danielle, Bob, fourth traitor who we'll get to at some other point, they've got a little bit of something from somebody. Nobody has said Carolyn's name yet, and that's very impressive when this house is paranoid as shit. So
I will also say we do already have evidence of the other traitors being willing to put Carolyn at risk. And once again, we'll add that pin to like the 8 other pins that are currently on the cork board at this point. But unfortunately, there is evidence that Carolyn is playing the best traitor game. And also the fact that Carolyn is going to go out if the other traitors ever need a sacrifice.
Right. But let's get to it. So we decided, we found out the traitors are Danielle, Bob, and Carolyn. They get selected initially as traitors. And as soon as they are able to take off their blindfolds, Tom snatches that blindfold off so quickly and is like, just look it. He's looking. And I'm like, sir, you look crazy right now. And if it was
he is crazy, so
that is correct.
I mean, he looked so crazy right now. And if for me, if I was in that house, that would have been the first name I threw up. I'm like, y'all, what is with this crazy Tom and these crazy eyes looking at me? We got Crazy Eyes Part 2
Crazy
happening on the Traitors. I'm like, what is happening? This man is just
and
like,
who is going to be the Angela in this situation, and why is it Carolyn?
It's just
right now it's
wild.
I
think it was Chriselle, actually,
it's
because Chriselle was like, he was just like, oh my God, just looking. And he like everybody, he's just checking out everybody. Like, I want to make sure that I get the first look at everybody taking off their blindfold. I want to see what everybody looking like. I want to see what they doing, blah, blah, blah. It's strange.
Yeah, because you're a crazy stalker man, Tom Sandoval. Stop.
Strange. But what else did y'all notice at the round table after the blindfolds came off?
It seemed like the actual after the blindfolds came off, everybody was like, "Oh, Chriselle was looking a little suspicious," and all this other stuff. And then they leave, and then I can't remember who it was. It might have been Dylan and Wells. They're like, "Y'all, it is way too early to be playing this mess," and that is, I believe, the first time out of 3 seasons of Traitors US where somebody said, "Can we not? Can we, like, with this early, we just took the damn blindfolds off. Can we not?"
Unfortunately, unlike the other 2 seasons, we do get crazier really, really fast. Like, even passing the other 2 seasons.
Mm-hmm.
This season is chaos immediately.
Oh, I'm here for it.
It's insanity. Like, right off the bat, Tom is throwing out Chriselle's name, and she's like, she just was weird. And then they're like, oh my God, this person was not doing this. And everybody is acting crazy now. And everybody's weird. And everybody's paranoid. And it's wild. It's so crazy. Everybody's impressed that Ivar is a royal, but he's the first gay royal. So everybody's like, "Oh, you're FGR rather." Is it's still, but people are like, "But paranoid. Well, what are we gonna do? I don't know." But they don't have time to waste because it's time for their first mission. They don't have time to do too much because they got to get ready for the mission. And this mission, if you don't watch Traitors UK, you should. But this first mission is the same first mission from Traitors UK, which is the Ring of Fire. And you have to get on this boat. All of you are on this boat. You're paddling out on this boat to some pontoons. And you're trying to collect fuel and money. I will say the US is giving a lot more money than the UK, but okay. So they have to go out. The first pontoon is fuel. The second pontoon is $20,000. The third pontoon is more fuel. And the fourth pontoon is $20,000 more dollars. So they can rack up a total of $40,000 on this this mission if they choose to accept it. And they get on this boat. And it's a hot mess. Don't nobody know how to row in time. Nobody knows what they doing. They like, heave, ho, row. They all over the place. It takes them a minute to collect the rhythm. They collect their rhythm. They're on their way.
Thank you, Bob.
And thank you, Bob. Thank you. Bob is
okay. Here's the thing. I love that Bob took charge of this. And I think Sierra, I don't know Sierra from her previous show. She seems like a lovely girl, lovely, wonderful girl that we haven't seen a whole lot of. Why the hell is she at the front?
I'm
She
guessing
didn't wanna
she just
row.
didn't want to row.
She didn't want to row, which, baby, that's
Okay, well,
me.
it's not
I would have
beneficial
been.
to the team.
I would have been at the front, like, I'm gonna yell it out, heave ho, heave.
Okay,
ho.
but she
like,
can't.
I'm not rowing.
That's the problem. Is she doesn't have the vocal carry to do this. So why? Like,
I will say,
she's
out of everyone
queen.
on the cast right now, Sierra might have been the person who's given me the least. Unfortunately, in terms of like,
they just haven't shown her.
they haven't shown her. That's what I'm saying. They haven't given
shown
her
her.
any time to show herself.
There's two people for me so far, 3 episodes in, that they have not shown much of whatsoever. And one of them is Sierra, and the other one is Sam, which I'm frankly happy about because get him out of there immediately. Somebody get him out of there.
I feel like they haven't shown a ton of Dolores either. And a lot of that's
gotten a good amount of Dolores.
Well, we haven't gotten a ton of her, like, outside of like a few little like snippet comments. It's just because Robin has been doing so much for the housewives at it. Like,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I would argue that Nikki as well. We haven't seen a lot of. Like,
that's what I was thinking too.
We've had a couple talking heads, but like beyond that, I'm really failing to think of a moment where Nikki has stood out during these first 3 episodes, like at all, other than like some light voting.
I'm gonna say, we want to be honest, Brittany ain't had that much of an edit either in these first 3 episodes.
After
like she had that first at that first in the minute of her and Danielle, Brittany has fallen into the background. We have not seen a lot. Bob, the other Bob H, is someone who we only heard of at the last episode in that last few minutes of the episode, but we didn't hear a lot from him throughout the whole 3 episodes.
I'm going to say he is bringing TV, though, because he has been part of things. He just hasn't been like the primary focus. And I think that's going to pick up a little bit now that we've gotten a few people out that we had to give a little bit of focus on before
absolutely.
they left.
Yeah.
Paul Harper has impressed the hell out of me on this cast.
I'm not that impressed yet. I'm not that impressed yet, but
not from a gameplay. Not from a gameplay perspective, from an entertainment perspective. He's been entertaining, and I appreciate that.
I'm about to say, I'm not that impressed yet, but I do believe he has the potential to truly, truly impress me if the longer he stays in this game. So I'm not like shutting him down. Now, who I am getting shut down and a little like, either you step it up or you can get up out of here. That is Mr. First Gay Royal. Like, he needs to step it up or he needs to go because he's literally been mute the entire time. Even when people were coming for him, he was mute. And I'm like, I'm going to need you to do something else. I'm going to need you to do something else. I'm not closing the book on him yet, but I'm like almost bored reading the pages. So he needs to step it up a little bit. But we do, after we get to the mission and they go out and they float, finally get their rhythm, they go to the first pontoon and then they realize you have to sacrifice 2 people in order to get fuel. And people are like, I ain't nobody trying to get off this boat. Who want to get off this boat? They sit there for a good minute trying to decide who's going to get off this boat. And then finally, was it Dorinda and Robin decided to get off first?
Robin and
Ion were the first 2.
Ion got off first? I thought she got off second.
She got off second, yes. Robin decides, fuck it, I'm just going to sacrifice myself here. And steps off the boat. And Chanel and Ion's like, yeah, no, I'll do it too. Wait, what are we doing? And before she can realize that she's put herself up for murder, Ion is on the raft, chained next to Robin, and floating to potential death.
Just floating there. Yeah. And so they get off the boat and they get the fuel. They keep it moving. We get to the second one. Then Dorinda and Dolores gets off the boat and they decide we're going to do it for the team. We'll get off. Just go get that money. They get off the boat. Then we get to the third pontoon. Please notice who I've called their names. Robin, Ion, Dorinda, Dolores. They all get off the boat.
4 housewives. All 4 of them.
All 4 of them got off the boat. Never have I said any man's name yet. So we get to the third one. And so all the guys are like, well, you need people to help row. We need to use the muscles to help row. So one of y'all get off the boat. And Bob, the drag queen, is like, we are not about to keep sacrificing these women to get off this boat. And none of you men are getting off the boat. And I was like, period.
Thank you, Bob.
And they were talking about some, but they were like, but we need to have men on this boat to row. And somebody was like, look at Nikki's arms. They're bigger than all of ours. Like, she can row this boat. Period. Bob Harper saying that. I was like, absolutely. Nikki Bella is very capable of rowing a boat. Do you know what she did? Hello. And she bore children to do it too. Oh, come on. She can do it. But like, Bob was like, this is just not happening. So Bob the drag queen gets off the boat. Danielle decides she's going to sacrifice and cry and get off the boat, even though she knows she's safe. Bob knows they are safe. So they get off the boat, but they make a fuss.
They don't know that each other knows that they're safe.
They don't know each other knows, which is kind of iconic.
Bluff each
they
other
showed
for
this
2 minutes.
15 seconds of the conversation where Danielle goes to Bob's like, so who do you think's a traitor? And Bob's like, I don't know. I'm still trying to like figure it out. And like they have this like 15-second conversation back and forth. I was loving every second of it because you also get Alan like reminding everybody's like they're both traitors, but they don't know they're both traitors.
It's so funny to me. It's so funny to me. But they do that and they go and then they go to try to go to the next pontoon. They decide, you know what? We're gonna need all of these people to get back. So we're not gonna go. No, they do go to the next one because Bob gets off.
Because Bob and Sam get
Bob
off.
Bob and Sam gives off. Yeah, Bob and Sam, which they were like, because we are not going to tell no other women to get off this boat. That's crazy. So Bob and Sam gets off the boat. Then they decide they're not going to go because they needed that second fuel. Then they decide they're not going to go to get the other money. They're just going to go right back and light this thing so everybody could be safe. And I was like, ooh, that's kind of, y'all had a whole lot of time. Y'all could have went and got that money and then came on back. But okay.
It wasn't about the time. We all know what it was about.
It wasn't about the time.
Well, no,
it wasn't about the strength. Tony pretty bluntly said, okay, if we go, who is willing to get off? No one else raised their hands. They were like, there's no reason. There's no reason to even go out there.
Well, and I think the really interesting part about it was they were like, oh, we've already used like half of our time getting to the fourth pontoon. I'm like, yeah, and you all spent at least a good solid 10 minutes of that time learning how to paddle the boat, and then you were spending time at each of these stops discussing who was going to get off, right? The actual row back is not going to take you that long. Those pontoons were not super far apart. Like you could see each other from the other pontoons, and we know that because the housewives yelled at each other after the second set got dropped off. So we all know this was every single person on that boat wanted a shield. Everyone wanted to have more camera time. They wanted to be here longer. Why a bench and then move on? Like I don't know what else to say here besides that.
Yeah,
it was very obvious what was going on, and so they decided to go on back to the ring of fire, light that sucker up. Everybody be safe. Except the 8 people, not 10 people who are supposed to be on the pontoon. It's going to be 8 people now. And they go, they light it, they win. They bank $20,000 out of $40,000. Woohoo for them. While the 8 people that's sitting in the river just floating away are pissed. They are very upset. They're annoyed that they didn't go for the money. They're annoyed that they're like, we sacrificed ourselves so we can get this money, so we can put it in the prize pot, and y'all decided not to. You were just worried about your own personal safety. That's very selfish of them. Yada, yada, yada. So they go home. Go ahead.
I was going to say, they left them there.
I'm about to say, they go home. This is the crazy part to me. They leave them there. They go back to the castle and they start eating dinner, and they're eating like nobody else is coming in behind them to eat. Like they tan that food up, and they eating, going back for seconds and thirds, and they eating. And I was like,
I mean, those kebabs did look quite yummy.
The kebabs look delicious, by the way. I was like, ooh, I want one of them myself. They look good. They look seasoned. They look juicy. I was like, ooh.
And you know who didn't? You know who wasn't seasoned or juicy? The 8 people left on a raft coming back.
Well, I bet you they're pretty juicy. They've been sitting in the water for hours, but like they're juicy. But also, everybody else is in like their dress-up attire, like their formal dinner wear, and then everybody else.
No, it's just the outfits they wore in that day. They just changed back into the same outfits.
Well, no, but that's what I'm saying. They're all in their formal clothes, and then the 8 people that got left on the ponds are in fucking black hoodies and black sweatpants because they didn't have time to change back in before they got to eat, and all of them are. Well, almost all of them. Sam and Bob aren't really, but the other 6 are fuming because
I mean, Harper is fuming. He's like, I am mad, I am annoyed, this is frustrated. But he was like, but I'm not gonna go in here acting up. Everybody else was like, I don't care about acting up. I'm about to go in here and let these fools know exactly how I feel about being left stranded on this pontoon for 2 hours. Like. I would have been pissed too. You leave me stranded on the pontoon for 2 hours. I would have been so mad. But yeah, everybody was like, mad. Like Bob, the drag queen, was going to let them have it, honey. Like he was not play with them. I was like, ooh, well.
Danielle specifically, the quiet rage that Danielle had here of, no, I'm going to go eat by myself in the breakfast room. I'm going to go eat alone. Some people come in here trying to talk to me, and now it's okay. I just want to be alone. Like,
what happened to me? Like,
I could feel the rage, like the steam emanating from Danielle's body. Like, she was pissed.
Even though she knows she's not dying, which she put on a little bit, she exaggerated a little bit because she was like, I'm hamming it up. I want them to believe I'm a faithful, which I loved. But I was like, I know she was fuming because I would have been fuming too. Even traitor or not, I'm still pissed. Because number one, y'all took away $20,000 of my money that I'm trying to get at the end. So I'm pissed y'all didn't go get that money. And then I had to sit out on this pontoon in this heat for 2 hours. So I'm annoyed. So I would have been annoyed.
All the food.
You ate all the food. I get left over with this leftover pasta, this dry pasta at the end. I don't even know what this is. I ain't get no kebabs because y'all ate them all up. So I'm pissed. I'm mad. So that would have been me. I would have been like, don't talk to me. Today ain't today. Today ain't the day. Leave me be. I would have been that way.
So we then go into the little bar, like little island area. Dorinda. Girly, she ate. Oh my god. She didn't eat, but she ate. Like
she was mad, and she was not going to not let them know she was mad. Like she was going to let them know, like, I'm pissed. And her and Ivar got into it because Ivar was like, I mean, I don't know what you want us to do. This is the game. We just played the game. Like he basically was like, don't hate the player, hate the game. We just played the game, and it is what it is. And Dorinda was like, yeah, but we did this out of, for the team, and we sacrificed ourselves. And they were like, nobody asked you to. You jumped off the boat. Like you jumped off so fast. Nobody asked you to do that. You did that. And Ivar was like, Ivar felt like she was defending herself too much and getting too upset. Like, that's what a traitor would do. A traitor would be this upset or try to act like they're faithful and try to be this upset and da-da-da. So Ivar has now called Dorinda a traitor. Just like, I think you're a traitor. I think you are. And I was just like, oh, okay.
We also get this really cool moment where Dorinda's like, look, I made that decision because we were going to get $40,000 for the pot. I am mad that you took our odds of being 1 in 10 people who were going to be on the raft and not be able to make it and be safe. And now it's 1 in 8 and we didn't get the extra $20,000.
Right.
And she specifically like, how much time did you guys have when you got back? Like, like 20 minutes. Like, I would have been fuming if I were Dorinda.
Annoyed. Absolutely.
Yeah, she had every right to be pissed.
Every one of them had every right to be pissed because it was money to be made, and y'all didn't make it because you wanted to be selfish.
Clock that tea.
That's it. But everybody's upset. Everybody's mad. I thought, now I don't know if y'all thought it, but I thought we were having a round table that night, but apparently we were not. It was just go to bed.
No,
somebody's getting murdered. That's it. I was like, oh
no, because the traitors still have to meet each other before they do the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
right.
Imagine if that wasn't how it works, and they like just went to the round table, and it was like, send anybody home you want, and then the traitors go after each other like hard, and then they go to the turret and see each other. Like that would be so entertaining.
I would have loved that.
No, but instead we get a phenomenal moment because, of course, the first two up in the turret are Bob and Danielle. Of course, and they walk up and they reveal, and the freak out, the joy emanating, the cackling.
Bob literally eats out of Danielle's hand. Like grabs her hand and goes, I was eating out of your hand.
This is what I've always wanted. Two of my favorite reality TV people. Finally.
Danielle was like, bitch. And you'll be here. Like, I love when two people just get together and just enjoy just having their moment. They just had their moment. And it was so good to see that. And I was like, I love that. I loved it so much. And then Carolyn walks in and reveals it's Carolyn. And everyone's like, shocked because nobody suspected Carolyn. Like, absolutely nobody suspected Carolyn.
Danielle is quite literally on the floor, mouth fully agape. Like, what? Are you kidding?
Yeah.
Maybe this is too early to make a statement like this. Carolyn may be my single, like, biggest surprise on this cast. From like, and granted, I know we've already talked about it a little bit, but the expectation that the three people who were at the cast assessment, I'm assuming yours as well, Logan, was that Carolyn was going to be going pretty quick because she's a little kooky, a little nuts, not exactly great at keeping her mouth shut. I love Carolyn. Where was this Carolyn on Survivor? I'm just saying. Like, if we had
nobody gave her the opportunity.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, he played a phenomenal game on Survivor. Do not get me wrong. I think she was one of my favorite parts of 44. But if this was the game that Carolyn had the opportunity to play on Survivor 44, she could have walked out of there with $1 million. Let's be honest. She has been sensational television, and she has been great part of this season so far. And the three of them in the turret, I was like, oh, so the Twitter gays really won the picks.
Alan Cummings said, I'm going to give the gays everything they want. And you did.
And no, they had to give the gays all of that for what they did after.
They were like, we have to give you a really good present before we kick you off this cliff.
But the conversation over who they should murder, and they basically get to the point where they're like, yeah, we're gonna murder a housewife. And I'm mad. I think that was the wrong call. I think murdering a housewife.
I don't think murdering a housewife was the wrong call. I think they just murdered the wrong housewife.
I agree with that 100%. I think Dorinda, out of the 6 people there, was the worst choice they could have made. I still do not think they should have murdered a housewife.
Okay, I think the choice was obvious, personally.
For Dorinda?
No. No, I didn't want Dorinda murdered at all. No, but I think of the people that were available, obviously, because Bob and Danielle hide both traitors. So we're down to 6 people. I think the choice of who to murder out of those 6 people was absolutely obvious.
Sam Asghari.
Oh, yeah.
Sam Asghari. Absolutely. I don't understand why he was never brought up other than getting money for missions. But we've seen nothing from the man.
Okay. Here's my thought. And I think murdering a housewife was the smartest decision because it's 4 housewives in that house. 4 of them. And if you want to get a what happened last season where the housewives just bonded together and was a voting block, then keep them all there. But if you want to break that up, You got to kill one of them. And then you could say, like they did, one housewife had to make a statement to kill another housewife to show we are not all together in this bond of housewife world. And so it made perfect sense. And the fact that 4 of them jumped off the boats in the first 2 pontoons, they looked sketchy as hell. So of course you go for the housewife first. And the reason you don't kill Sam is because Sam ain't got nobody. Sam is by himself in this lone house, walking around being Sam with no connections. You pull that person in. You don't send them home right away. You try to pull that person in, or you protect them enough where you could pull them into the turret later and use them as a scapegoat. It's certain people you touch, and it's certain people you let go.
See, here's my problem, and I fully agree with that from a concept perspective, right? But looking at who the traitors are, right, and looking at the 3 of them, right, I feel like all 3 of them could connect better with the Housewives group than they can with Sam Asghari, right?
Agreed.
Problem number 1. Thing number
that.
2 is one of the Housewives is gonna get voted out at the round table, almost guaranteed, if all 4 of them live, because Dorinda is already public enemy number 1. If she's living, she's already going to be somebody in front of you. And then add in the fact that there's still 4 of them. They're still going to be on everybody's radar. So at that point, it comes down to, well, Bob Harper or Sam. And like we've already seen that Bob Harper and Bob the drag queen are at least talking and friendly and they like each other, right? And Bob Harper really has nobody in this house, because you could argue that like Sam and Tom have kind of talked a little bit, and like Sam and Tony have talked a tiny bit. Like we saw like little background clips with them talking. So we don't know who else talking. I just don't think that for their game, it was the best position to eliminate a housewife, because one of the housewives is going to go home at the round table. And if it doesn't happen, well, you just have the opportunity to murder one of them the next night. Well, more than likely. I mean, statistically.
Which is exactly what they ended up doing anyway.
Thank you. Like, I think, yeah.
I definitely, I do see where you're coming from, Lana, because of how connected they are. And especially seeing what happened last season on Traitors, and how dominant the housewives were, specifically just simply because Phaedra was a housewife. Like, she kind of ran the whole housewives group. I would be a little bit nervous about the position of these housewives as well. I think, however, it was very obvious very early on that these housewives are not all of them are as strategically minded as someone like Phaedra was, as someone like even Sheree was. Like, Sheree had her moments. She was kind of carried, but she still had her moments where she was at least trying to contribute to conversations. Ayan doesn't know where she is. Dolores is barely playing this game. Robin is the only person of those 4 housewives that has actually shown a decent amount of strategic prowess. And even at that point,
she wrong every time.
So you get rid of Robin.
If you're getting rid of a housewife, I thought they should have gotten rid of Robin too, because I think there was a world where you could have argued maybe get rid of Dolores, because Dolores is a very like nice and sociable person.
Yes.
Getting her out, that makes sense too. Ayan would no, don't even entertain it.
I would never need to touch her.
Dorinda was
Ayan doesn't make sense to hit at all.
For the first one, I agree. Second,
for the first one, yeah.
Dorinda though,
yeah,
I don't get it, and like
I don't get it.
I think Carolyn was 100% right.
Correct.
Yes.
Dorinda, because Dorinda is a shield. People are already wanting to get her out. People already want to send her home. They already think she could be a traitor, or maybe they just aren't vibing with her. And and like the idea of, if we take out Dorinda, it frames Ivor. Well, not really, because that's like such a surface level thought process for this. I think they made the wrong call, but I guess it kind of worked out. So I can't be too mad at it.
I mean, I think they made the wrong call. I think they aren't as strategically up to where I would love it to be, because I feel like trying to frame Ivar, like you say, is very surface level. And after watching UK and watching this one, I'm like, the strategery is just on 2 different levels, which is kind of crazy for regular slow-mo Joes, right, against these people who played these games. And I'm like, y'all need to be thinking a little bit more outside of the box. But they do murder Dorinda,
That
unfortunately.
is
Well, I don't know why
Doralinda.
that Doralinda came from. I don't know. It doesn't matter.
Well,
Y'all
because
know
in
who it
the
is.
cast photos, they had typoed her name and it said
They did
Dorlinda.
type. They
They
had
called her
Doralinda in
Dorlinda
there.
in the cast photo. So I know that's where the Linda book came from.
That is disrespectful to Dorinda.
No, the entirety of the cast is that's what we call her Dorlinda because of the freaking.
Because I thought her name was
Dorinda. This is
But
why
there
I'm
you
mad
go.
I wasn't here, because I am just so upset that they murdered Dorinda first, because Dorinda was someone that I was the most excited about seeing on this cast going into this season, because she's just a mess of a human in the best way possible. And I think it's such a waste for casting and for the Traitors. I think it's just such a waste.
It is a waste. But that's who they decided. And she's gone. And breakfast comes around the next day. And everybody is like, who's going to be? Who's going to be? And Shocking is Dorinda. And they're sad. Danielle and Bob start crying. And I was like, okay. All right. Okay.
Let me just say.
For Bob, I get it.
Oh, here I go. Y'all know I am here for the acting. I love when Traitors are acting, and it's like but even I didn't believe Danielle. I love Danielle, and I would want to believe everything Danielle tells me. Like, she could tell me the sky is gray or the sky is purple, and I would love to believe that. But I was not believing Danielle in that moment. Bob, I was like, okay, a little bit, but not as
I didn't believe it either.
I think they were doing too much in that moment.
Yep.
Like, they could have just been like, oh my God. Oh, that's not right. That's not right. Like, I'd have been like, that ain't right. The Traitors, y'all, that ain't right. But the crying, because that's not, like, Danielle is not that emotional person like that. Like, we ain't really seen her do that junk like that until she was drunk on Big Brother, and then or when she felt betrayed. This moment didn't cause for that. Like, you just met this person not even a day ago. What you crying for? So I felt like it was a little too much. And Carolyn was the one for me, was like, okay, y'all doing a little bit.
Never in the world did I ever think Carolyn would look at Danielle Reyes and say, "You're doing too much."
Right?
Yeah, no. If the person who got cast on this season for being an emotional wreck on Survivor is telling you are being an emotional wreck, you are doing something wrong. Like, it's a little bad.
I just never expected Carolyn to be able to tell anyone they were doing too much.
They were doing too much.
Not just Danielle,
but
also,
like, I mean, the thing about this is we are still blessed in this moment to have a moment on TV where Carolyn from season 44 is telling Danielle Reyes of Big Brother 3 and Bob the drag queen to stop being emotional because it might give away they're all traitors. That is a crazy sentence, and also makes complete sense somehow. So
yeah, this is the bizarre world that we're living in right now, but I kind of love it living here, so I'm gonna ride it. I'm gonna ride it out. But go ahead, Jack.
We also have this slow buildup now of everyone looking around and saying, well, it must be a housewife then. Which, that's the other thing I will say. This strategy, is it probably a better idea to take out Sam because he has no connections and you don't want to bleed any information on night one? I'm talking about this like a full mafia game at this point. But sure, that's a good idea. They were also immediately right in the fact that they could spread, it's a housewife. Because I can't exactly remember who, but I believe it's either Danielle or Bob who Danielle first floats the idea of, well, it must be a housewife.
Mm-hmm.
So, and she does it in a way that wasn't too much. She just kind of leans over. I think it was to Jeremy. She's like, well, then doesn't it make sense for a housewife to kill another housewife? Like, and she doesn't say, "Oh, it must be a housewife. One of the housewives is a traitor." She goes, "It makes sense for a housewife to kill the housewife." And then you just hear it's like telephone. One person says it, and then it just spreads around the little candy cane table, and then suddenly it's gotten all the way to Dolores and Robin at the end, and they're like,
"Oh,
what?
Well, shit." And
I was just happy to be there. But,
it was wild.
Ayana's still actively figuring out the game, so we do mainly.
But she looks fabulous, though.
She looks
breakfast.
She looks fabulous. Like no one can take that away from her. She was stressed out in the beginning because she didn't want to lose the chance to show her fucking outfits, and I respect that.
I
respect it so much. She looked amazing. I said when she walked in, I said, "Oh, you go, girl. You better wear that beret." Period. Love it. But in the midst of that, what we didn't mention was right before, after the turret happened and all of that stuff, we see Alan walking into the woods, and this cloaked person comes bound together. Find out that it's Rob again, and Rob is back, and he was like, I told them that the decisions that they made had consequences to this game, and the decision that they made of not inviting you into the game, the consequences now is that not only will you be in this game, but 2 other people will be joining you in this game. And so they all get to come back. They're coming into the game. And Rob is going to come into this game as a traitor.
Boo! Tomato!
I will say...
Look, there was a worse option. Someone could have eliminated Tom. We could have had Tom as a traitor.
Yeah,
there were worse options.
Got switched here was going to become a traitor.
100%.
The plan. I am just happy that if I had the choice between Rob and insert other man from Big Brother 16 on this cast, if he was the other option out of these people to become a traitor, I am happy it was Rob because I can at least palate Rob from time to time. But
okay,
yeah, them, those 2.
I'm sorry, but we'll talk about all that later.
We'll get there because it has something else on there.
Yeah, so that's what I said. We'll come back to that. But Rob is coming back as a traitor. 2 people are going to join him. They are Wes from the challenge and Derek from Big Brother 16. They are going to join, but they are joining as faithfuls. And so they're going
There's
to
the challenge rep we were looking for.
Yeah. I wasn't looking for that one. I was looking for Cara Marie. But okay, that's just me.
She'll be there eventually.
I mean, that's the thing. This felt like a role that was bound to be filled by Cara Maria, because obviously now we have 11 women on the cast,
12 guys, and we have 11 women, 1 non-binary person in Bob, and then we have
and then it goes back up to 11 guys. If we consider Bob as non-binary for this case. And I mean, which he is, and I don't know, my brain is not working yet. But
non-binary.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting balance because we suddenly went from the issue is we end up seeing a lot of women go out early, so it goes from a very female heavy cast, at least the start, to and now we're male heavy, and I don't think that first challenge helped.
I have less problem with the gender split here and more of we are treating 3 men like they are these big special deals, and we have all of these women that we could have treated like they were these big special deals too. If you didn't want, and I guarantee you it was probably a contract thing for Derek of like, I can't go home in the first episode. I'm not going home in the first episode if you want to have me here.
Same for Wes, same for
probably
Rob.
Same for Wes, and probably same for Wes, and probably same for Rob. And I don't know for that for a fact. This is pure speculation. Everything is alleged here at the Cup. But read the ticker. But you could have put fucking Brittany or Danielle in one of those cages. They have the same level of Big Brother iconography. Hell, if you really wanted to make this interesting, you could have put Gabby in there. She's a bachelorette. I mean, granted, it's not like the same level of like social strategy as these other shows, but it's a big enough of a franchise that you could have thrown her in there. I don't get it. I don't get why we had to make it this mess.
I just don't. I don't understand why we need to have Derek, Wes, and Rob. I didn't need it. I didn't need any of them, quite honestly.
They are also using a surprising amount of like the big names that you can think of with like, oh, the cop who played a perfect game on Big Brother. One of basically the only male figurehead that we haven't directly drafted from the challenge at this point. And then Rob, who went on Survivor so many times and then was basically gifted a spot into the final four of Deal or No Deal Island until he cheated and took himself out. So it's definitely a weird balance. I feel like if you put, unfortunately, in the casual viewer's eye, I disagree with this fact heavily, but it is the casual viewer's eye. If you put Danielle or Brittany in place of Derek, that feels weird comparing it to Wes and Rob just because of the legacy over time. I don't agree with that. But I think that's what the producers were thinking. And it unfortunately doesn't work because we need that Danielle-Brittany conflict because the reason they're here is because they're Big Brother and also Big Brother reindeer games where they fought.
Okay.
And that's where that conflict.
Why don't we just not cast somebody or maybe just add a 24th person and have somebody like Taylor Hale?
That's what I was just about to say. I would say if we're going to do that, if we're going to do recency bias, we don't need Derek. We put Taylor in there instead and let it be Taylor, let it be Wes and Rob, or we take out Rob and we take out Wes and we just put three fabulous women from each of those franchises, Taylor, Cara Maria, and recency bias again. We have all of who?
D
or
Marianne.
Oh my God, Marianne on the Traitors.
Oh wait, no, Marianne's
she's Canada. She's got.
I don't care. Marianne on the Traitors would feed families. Like I don't even.
Marianne for Traitors Canada.
The only thing I will say in that case, obviously we have Carolyn. Did Carolyn's season air before or after Taylor? I'm not 100% sure on the timing.
After, I think.
Carolyn was after Taylor.
Okay, then, yeah, because the only other thing I was going to bring up was contracts, where they might still technically have Taylor in a contract that she can't leave from yet, but I think
she might still be in CBS because she's now working for CBS and doing the roundtables at Big Brother. So she might
that's very fair.
The last thing that Taylor was under contract for with CBS, besides doing the roundtables at for Big Brother 26, was reindeer games. And if Danielle and Brittany can be here for that, she can be here for this too.
Yeah, no, that's very true.
On top of that, though, it's less about the fact that it's men in the cages. I'm irritated about it. I'm just more irritated about the fact that it's only guys,
right?
Because it sets a bad precedent. If we have to have Derek and Wes and Rob on this cast, okay? Because let's be real, they're probably going to be on the cast no matter how they're here, right? They're going to be here. Yeah. They have the set number they want, whatever. You can add a 24th woman and make it a woman and have her be in there with the cages, and you could just not do this dumb twist with Rob at the beginning, right? Or hell, you can rig a little twist at the beginning and be like, all of you do what they did with Omarosa on Celebrity Big Brother, like the star thing, and then like one of you had the immunity star and you can't get murdered on the first night, and it just happens to be Rob. If you really have to keep him there, right? It didn't have to be this big over-the-top elaborate twist where we are highlighting three men when we have a lovely cast of women this season that could have easily filled one of those roles. even if they're not at the same level of iconography to us or to the casual competitive reality sphere, they all have a name. Nikki Bella is one of the most followed people on Instagram, to my knowledge. She has a shit ton of followers on Instagram.
Absolutely.
She is notable. She has a name. Gabby's a former bachelorette. If you're
Gabby's one of the most popular bachelorettes they've ever had.
Exactly.
Because of the way that she got dumped on her season, and then came in and was one of the first double bachelorettes they've ever had. Robin is one of the most followed housewives on Instagram. And she's made a name for herself on the Housewives. Dylan is Zac Efron's brother. There are so many other people.
I mean, but I agree with you. And here's the thing. They could have did something like bring Peppermint back and let Peppermint be in the cage because she went out first. And so we won't have just one drag performer on each drag artist on the show at a time. We could actually have two. Why do we only have to have one at a time? We could actually do two. Bring Peppermint back and put him in the cage.
Here's my big thing. I think last season when they casted Johnny Bananas, I think that is why this has led to the point where we're at now. Because Bananas got murdered night one, right?
Yep.
Granted, I don't really think he did anything majorly wrong last season. I think he was just kind of a presence there in the first episode, and he happened to be the first murder. But I think they expected him to be a presence that could help establish the challenge on the show. What ended up happening is CT and Trishelle made it all the way to the end and won. And I think because of that, because Johnny is, no shade, the name from the challenge, as much as I'm not a huge fan, he is the guy from the challenge. He's the poster boy. He went home first, and I think that worried them if they were to bring the casual poster boy for modern day Big Brother like Derek, one of the poster boys for Survivor and Rob, and the other big poster boy from the challenge that they haven't on the show yet, Wes. And I think that scared them.
It 100%.
Hell, why the fuck is New York not here? Can we get New York, please?
Oh, Jesus. I think it's too much for the Traitors. I think to a whole different level of
I don't even care. I need it.
The thing is, I could genuinely see her for next season because at this point, they've used a lot of the ultra famous, at least they've used a lot of the people that people first think of. And they are also introducing a lot of different shows from a lot of different places.
Yep.
Going to, and we're bringing her back from House of Villains, or we're bringing her back from Flavor of Love. It's very possible.
It was possible. But we do need to move. So we know that Rob is going to be back. Wes and Derek are going to be back. They're going to do the cages. What they have to do is go run around the woods, collect these coins, put the coins in the slots. And if they put the coins in the slot, the more coins that go in the slot, the cages get lowered. And the cages get lowered. If they hit the ground, those people who are actually hitting the ground before the time runs out can give away shields. There are 3 shields to be given away. But they have to have enough money to make the cages hit the ground. And they have 20 minutes to do this.
One thing that really surprised me was how many coins they had to get to lower them.
Yes.
Because the coins were worth $100 each. So they had to get 50 coins in those tubes to lower somebody all the way to the ground. Because it was 5,000 for each person, total of 15. And I was kind of shocked by that with the time limit of being 20 minutes. Maybe where the bags were was closer than it looked like on the show. We couldn't really tell. But
and another thing that they did allow them to do that they didn't allow them to do on UK was put more collect coins and then put them in. On UK, you could only bring 1 coin back at a time, and it was every 10 coins the cage would lower. And so on this one, they were collecting coins. It was okay, blah 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 blah, and then the cage could lower some. And so I was so they're letting them collect it, which is good because, like you said, it was so many coins to get those cages to the ground. They couldn't do it one at a time because they would never have the time to do that with that 20-minute time limit that they had. So letting them collect the coins was a way to have them actually fulfill 50 coins per shoot in 20 minutes. But everybody collect the coins, everybody gets lowered. Everybody hits the ground. So 3 shields are now in play. And like on UK, they are not going to give the shields away until after the round table because they have to, they want to give them a chance to get in the house, mingle, get to see each other, get to know each other, get a lay of the land, and then watch a round table that they are not able to vote in, but they are not able to get banished or murdered that night. So they will have immunity for that. They could not vote off. What?
I really wanted them to have to give the shield right away. And like, that was the only thing. I think it would have been fun because, and I get why. It's like, oh, well, they don't know anybody. And then some of them do know people. But like, if you don't really talk to anybody, it's going to be whatever. But I think that's kind of part of the fun of this kind of thing of like, well, I mean, Rob's probably going to give it to like Tony or Jeremy. And then Gareth's going to give it to whoever. Who the fuck would Wes give it to? I kind of wanted to know.
Well, we knew who Wes gave it to, and we immediately found out why that was going to be a bad idea. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, that is the thing of it, and I think it is actually part of what you're talking about before with making sure that the 3 people who are in the cages have a good amount of protection, because they are going to give it to an ally who 100% will probably be indebted to them in the future of like, you saved my life.
Right.
But if you give it out before, there's a chance that that person goes at the round table because no one is going to publicly talk about who got the shields.
Mm-hmm.
Probably.
Yeah. Doing it in secret, they did not know who has it. And so it's kind of made sense because if I know who has everything, especially as a traitor, we know who we not go message, which they knew, and we know who we could actually possibly maybe banish if we wanted them gone anyway, because they have a shield, we can't kill them, so we just got to push the narrative that they get banished. So I didn't mind that, and I think watching UK kind of made me understand, like, feel okay with that outcome of not giving it away right away and let them do it after the round table. But it was interesting. People were trying to talk to them, and they were trying to get their, figuring out and their data, as they call it, getting all the information. Robin was like, I'm not about to kiss nobody's ass. I'm about to go upstairs. I'm not built for that. I'm not built for that. I can't do it. I was like, okay, girl. Okay, girl. I mean, I like Robin, but I don't know her that much, but I'm like, she's interesting to me. In this setting, she's very interesting to me. I'm not sure if I like her yet, but she's interesting.
She's such a good choice too, because she's well enough known within the housewives sphere that like, oh yeah, no, casting Robin Dixon makes complete sense. But she's not like the biggest name of any of the housewives on this season is Dorinda. And I'm, in a lot of ways, I'm upset that Dorinda went home first, obviously, because she would have been a mess of television that I would have absolutely enjoyed. But in a lot of ways, I'm kind of happy that, Robin will get to step into a little bit of the limelight and get a bit more of a push here, because I am actually really impressed with Robin so far. She's got all of the good senses about her. She's not on target necessarily, but she's got a lot of the good senses. Unfortunately, I think she's being targeted way too early, and so I don't think she's going to make it that far in the game.
Well, speaking of Robin, because we did skip over something in between the challenge and the morning roundtable. We have this conversation happen in like the billiard room, like a little lounge area, where Wells says the murdering Dorinda was this dumb move and he doesn't get it. He thinks it was a stupid move. And Robin goes, no, I think it's brilliant, actually. And she's like explaining her logic, basically the same logic that Bob and Danielle used when they killed Dorinda. And the two of them, because of how this interaction went, are now both suspicious of each other. And it causes a big ripple effect across the entire house, where some people are suspicious of Ivor because, Dorinda and Ivor had that, like, row between the two of them. And then you have Wells and Robin who are suspicious of each other. So now that's rippling across the entire house. And then there's a couple other people who are like, like Tom and Chriselle are suspicious of each other. And it's so much interconnected chaos that we could possibly not explain every little thing that happens in this like 10 minutes of television, because just watch this part of the episode if you want like intimate details on that, because it's a lot. It's kind of hectic.
It is. It's a lot of stuff. A lot, like I said, a lot of intricate connections going on between these people. Want to go against each other. These people want to go against each other. These people don't trust each other. I don't like you. I don't trust you. It's a lot going on, and I didn't think it was gonna get this bad, but that's exactly what the Traitors wanted. They wanted to create chaos, and what they did was have everybody start going against each other, because now it's like the Dorinda didn't make sense. Well, it makes sense for this, and the housewife was like, well, now you're making no sense to me, because now I feel like you're coming for me. And then it's like other people are just joining into the fray. It was total chaos, total madness. And it just continued to carry over into the round table. Like those conversations and all of those maddening and interconnection things that was happening just carried right over into the round table. And when I tell you, I was not sure what was going to happen at this round table. You usually go to round tables and be like, I have an idea of what could be. I had no idea where this was going to land, because so many people's names were brought up and brought out that it was just like, where's this going to land? And we get in the round table and Alan tells them that the time to talk is now, and nobody says a thing. They
Not a damn thing.
They just look.
Everyone's like,
and I think that's and this is the thing that killing Dorinda did. Okay, I think them killing Dorinda did not provide them with the clear first vote scapegoat that the average person would have probably expected, because that was gonna be Dorinda. From what we could see in the episode, it looked like that was gonna be Dorinda's role. She's dead. It can't be Dorinda now. And suddenly there's not enough time for everybody to find a new scapegoat. You know, we don't have a Michael who's running around the challenge telling everybody to go vote for Geraldine tonight. We don't have that. So what do? Well, you hope and pray that you're not the person that the plurality is going to vote for, because this isn't going to be a unified vote this evening. Bob finally opens up the table and says that he has heard Wells's name, and that blah 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 blah, and then the most chaotic roundtable I've seen on the Traitors in a hot minute ensues.
On this one, yes. On US is what it was very much chaotic. Names
UK had a couple of good chaotic ones this season, and
this season,
like Lana said earlier, if you are not watching Traitors UK, you are only getting half of the good Traitors that is currently happening.
Yeah,
ooh,
really good,
it's so good.
But yeah, you have to. But it was like everybody was trying to throw out everything. It was name after name. Wells didn't understand why his name was being brought out at the first place. He was like, what do you mean my demeanor's changed? Then Robin jumped in and was like, yeah, you aren't the same. You got a little colder since we took off the blindfolds. And he's just like, I don't understand. That doesn't make any sense to me. And then somebody else brought up somebody else's name, and Ivar's name got brought in there because they were like, you had that fight with Dorinda, so maybe it's you. And Ivar was like, And
then Tom and Chriselle go after each other, and a few people are just sitting over there, like Nikki and Brittany, and like a few other people are just sitting there like, I'm not getting involved, not getting in, I'm rising above.
The way Gabby predicted it before the round table too, I don't even remember who she was talking to, but someone was like, oh, what's the name? And Gabby's like, well, I just think people are going to go in there and just throw shit at the wall and see what sticks. Like, Gabby, queen of the one-liners. Thrilled to see Gabby in a different light. Because I watched both of her seasons of The Bachelor. She's so entertaining, and I'm thrilled. I love her.
We even get to the point where I'm pretty sure it's Robin who says this, but we get to a point where Robin says, the reason people aren't speaking up is because they're scared of being called out for being suspicious. Anytime that someone is poking their head up and throwing a suspicion out there, someone else is then speaking up and saying, but actually, I think it's you, and you're deflecting. Mm-hmm. So we have this kind of chaotic back and forth that kind of settles on two different names.
Yeah.
Kind of, but more like three.
2, 3. There's so many names that get thrown out, but oh my god, yeah, it is probably one of the most pluralist votes we've had. 5 to 4 to 4 to 2 to 1 to 1 to 1 to 1.
This is truly the Survivor Borneo merge vote of the Traitors US, I believe. 8 people got their name written down at this roundtable. That is insane. 8.
But 8 people. But the person who got it the most was Wells. Why did I say Will? Who's Will? Who's Will? I don't know.
I don't know.
Why
are we still knowing
we
Will?
have our peacock
I don't know
wires
who Will
crossed
is, but...
with like
Dealer Island.
Deal or No Traitor, House of Villain Island.
Yeah, it's a lot of
blood versus water.
But yeah,
if you would have told me coming into this season that the first person banished was Wells,
I would have been like, don't believe you.
I'm stunned. Like, and in this moment too, I was like, what the I was not saying certain. I thought it was going to be Robin. Like, even going into Carolyn's vote, I thought it was going to be Robin. And then, no, we lost, like, the only likable Bachelor contestant we've had on the show to this point besides Gabby. And, like, that's...
I was about to say, if you didn't say besides Gabby, I was going to jump through my screen.
Okay, sorry. The only likable male Bachelor contestant we have had on the show to this point. And that's depressing.
Right. That's wild.
So, just to be clear, the 4 vote getters were Lord Ivar and Robin.
Yep.
So Robin was suspected because Housewife died, and the pin went to Robin at the end of it because that was Wells' suspicion.
Yep.
And then Ivar, I believe, was called out by Bob for being suspicious, and also the spat between Ivar and Dorinda.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So Wells got brought up because he was pushing names too much. And yeah, an incredibly close vote with a bunch of other thrown names because people didn't want to actually participate.
Special shout outs to Ivar for voting for Dolores of all people. Her name didn't even get brought up. Not one time during this roundtable did anyone say Dolores' name. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, Dolores. Huh. Dolores? Okay, sure. R.I.P. Wells.
But, right, Wells is gone. Wells is done. Wells is out of here. I don't like that at all.
And now we have so many extra people that we have to deal with Derek and Wes, but basically everyone except for Rob, Derek, Wes, and then 3 shield getters are on the table. But because Rob is giving out a shield, he also knows basically where all of the shields are because everyone is talking.
Well, because he walks in on Wes giving his shield to Jeremy, right?
Yep.
And he knows that he gave his shield to Tony. Right.
And Danielle knows that Derek gave his shield to Dylan.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. So the traitors know exactly where the shades are because Derek told Danielle, I'm giving it to Dylan to have an olive branch.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
We then get the 3 known traitors in the turret together, and they're like scheming. And then They hear the knock. They look over. There's Rob. None of them are happy.
They're not happy at all.
They're
They are
oh
not.
my god, are you fucking kidding me?
Carolyn wants to scream, cry, and throw up right now. She's like, "Oh
Me?
my god!"
Ew.
Like, I want you to go. And like, she's like, "I don't trust Rob. There is no way I can trust Rob." And Danielle is like,
Danielle
here.
Danielle is pissed, but is also like, well, I guess if I have to have anywhere where Rob is in the game, I'd rather us both be traitors so I can at least watch over him.
Right.
Yeah. Bob doesn't even pretend. Bob's like, cool. Yay. I'm like, me too, Bob.
And guess what? Rob is not happy with the traitor selection either. He is not happy with the people who were picked. And
what did he expect? Dude Bros Survivor Island up in here? Like, no.
Apparently.
I don't know what he expected. I don't know what he expected, but that was not it.
Mhm.
So now we got Wes and Derek in the game. They're faithfuls. Like I said, Rob is the traitor. They made a pact to work with each other throughout when they were hanging up in them cages. They're like, we need to stick together. Derek is already like, he says at breakfast, because they come in first because they know, of course, they're safe. They were the ones that were immune. They come in first. And Derek is like, one of us got to be a traitor. I don't think they would have brought all three of us back as faithfuls. So I got to keep my eye on them. I just got to keep my eye on them. He said, because I know what I am. I just got to keep my eye on them. And so everybody else starts making their way into breakfast.
We didn't even talk about the turret, like the actual.
Oh, I forgot about the turret. Yeah, because
Yeah.
the turret happened and they decided to kill somebody. So
Bob says we need to kill another housewife. And I'm like, why? Because and this is what
their theory wrong.
Because what I told my room, I was like, killing one housewife makes sense. I get it. I see your vision.
Mhm.
I don't agree with it, but I get it. But there's still three of them. Now Survivor's
Right.
going to be the point of focus of like the franchises because there's four of them.
Mhm.
I'm like, we're killing another housewife? And granted, I know you can't kill any of the Survivor people tonight, and I wouldn't suggest that even if you could. But like, why? What does this accomplish?
The only thing I will say is Survivor is slightly split because we have Jeremy, Tony, and Rob who are connected with each other. Carolyn isn't as connected.
Right. Not with them.
We're almost considering New Era Survivor to be an entirely different show, which you could argue realistically, but Carolyn is not as connected. Honestly, Carolyn is much more connected with the housewives and the female Big Brother players.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So then
go ahead.
They bring up getting out Tom and saying if they get out Tom, they can pin it on Chriselle. And I'm like, yes. This is a great decision. I don't even care if my draft team will lose a third member in as many eliminations. Yes, send him home.
I was hoping they would do that. I was like, yes, that makes even the best sense. Send Tom home, let it be on Chriselle. And Carolyn brings up killing Brittany, and Danielle was like, no.
We're not doing that. No, that doesn't make any sense. No.
She's like, because if we do Brittany, it comes to me. Nope.
And I think
like, but
Danielle's absolutely right.
And she's 100% right. She can't kill Brittany right now. She can kill Brittany eventually, but not right now. That while it's too fresh.
Yeah. The second that Danielle is banished, Brittany goes home almost immediately because there's no reason to keep Brittany around. Brittany is a tripwire that if she goes home, Danielle goes home directly after. If Danielle goes home, no one is connected to Brittany, so either Brittany gets brought in as a sacrifice or Brittany goes home immediately. That's my only thought.
So we then get the whole. So we're between blah 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 blah, and it's Ion, Dolores, and Tom, right? And I'm like, okay, so obviously Tom is going home because there's no reason to send home a second housewife. And then we go to breakfast, and they send home Ion.
And this is the confusing part too. we hear from Ion specifically that she is really upset about Wells leaving because Wells is teaching her the game.
Yes.
Ion has no game strategy here because she is a housewife, yes, but she isn't as deeply connected with the other housewives because she's in Dubai and the rest of them are in the States.
Yep.
She doesn't have this camaraderie and could easily be broken off and someone could take them and take her under her wing.
Yes. It was not the brightest move.
It doesn't make sense. I do think the Traitors are fucking up.
Better.
Tom was way better.
Tom was significantly better.
I think they killed the right housewife.
I mean, they killed the right housewife to bring up mass confusion for sure, because nobody knows why would you kill out Ion.
Well, my whole logic, and this is something I've always thought, right? If someone is universally agreed to be a faithful, murder them, kill them, get them the hell out of there. Because let's be real. Is there a single person in this game that thought Ion had even the slightest chance of being a traitor? No. So I don't disagree with murdering her, but I think you could have waited. Keeping her in the game doesn't hurt you. Whereas Tom is already throwing names out. And let's say something happens and Chriselle gets voted out at the next roundtable, which could, I mean, for all they know, could happen, right? Because after that last roundtable, who the fuck knows what's going to happen after this? You now have Tom open season who's shown game sense. I think they still should have gotten rid of Tom if they were picking between those three people.
Yeah. But they didn't. They picked Ion, which is, I don't know. But so Ion's gone. Everybody's confused. Everybody's like, why Ion? What did she do? She didn't do anything. I don't know. This is crazy.
Specifically, when Alan Cumming comes in there and like takes the picture and throws it on the ground, he says that Ion is going Dubai by, which I found very great. Good job. Thank you, Alan.
Very funny.
just Alan does get one-liners perfectly on this show, but I was also so annoyed, like, fuck, that's good, but also I hate you.
It's one of those things that's like, damn it, that's so terrible. I should have thought of it.
I should have thought about that. Dubai by. But yeah, it was so good. Alan is just great. That's why he won host of the year. That's what I think he well, I won't want to spoil anything for the Cup Awards, but you know. He was nominated for host of the year, period.
Emmy Award winner.
Emmy Award winner. Alan Cumming. But yeah, so we Ion's gone, everybody's confused, but they don't have time to revel in that because we got to go to another mission. And this mission is going to the fun house, or not so fun house because ew.
There are stabbing clowns in there.
It's not that fun.
The fuck.
I mean, but I just saw that on UK just this week, so I was like, "Oh, okay, I know exactly what's happening." These parallel challenges are making my mind go crazy. But they have to go through the funhouse in pairs with the balloon and pick a door between four doors. You pick the door. If it's right, you go through. If it's wrong, a scary clown comes and stabs your balloon. You're out. Each balloon has a money value to it, and I think theirs was what 5,000.
It was 2,000 flat across.
2,000 a piece.
2,000. Yeah.
All right, 2,000 for each balloon. Okay, so if you go through, you make it great. If you get the door wrong, stabbing a clown, it's gonna bust your balloon. We have issues right off the gate because they were trying to decide who was going to go first. Nobody wanted to go first.
The big reason nobody wanted to go first was the first pair that finished got a shield.
Absolutely.
Right. So everybody wanted to wait a little bit later.
So this is going to be slightly mathematical, so I do apologize. This challenge made no sense because if you consider any sort of statistics, they should have stopped at 4 rows of doors. There are 10 total pairs that the groups could go through. At most, considering how 3 doors are wrong per section of 5, If you have 12 doors, there's a chance that no one makes it through, but that's fine. Why did they go with 15 incorrect options? Yes, it is statistically unlikely that we get to the point where all 10 teams fail. And during this challenge, we have a team unnecessarily fail because they double pick a door. But
weird.
The odds of a team naturally getting to the end is so low for no reason when they could have stopped at 3 rows of doors or 4 rows of doors to make sure that somebody got a shield. But
here's the crazy thing, though. In the UK, did this same funhouse, and 6 teams got through.
I'm sorry, what?
They did this same challenge with less people, but the same amount of doors, and 6 teams made it through.
Were they paired up?
Yes. They had pairs and pairs, and one person was on their own.
I have to wonder if it's possible that they maybe had more correct doors than the US one, or if it was just luck. I mean, look.
No, it really was just luck.
That's what I'm saying. This challenge is luck. Like, and I think the house just got really unlucky because spoiler alert, nobody got through. Only one team even got close. It was Wes and who was
Sierra.
Wes and Sierra.
Yeah, Wes and Sierra were the only group to get to the 5th set of doors. Everyone else failed.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's bad.
Yeah, but even before that, though, they're trying to talk about who's going first. Nobody wants to go first, so Robin's like, "I guess I'll go first." And then Bob the Drag Queen's like, "Why are the same people volunteering to go first when other people could be doing it?" And then Bob Harper, I'm not sure why, looks directly at Tony and goes, "Tony, do you want to go first?"
I know why he looked at Tony, because Tony was doing all that yah-rah yapping on the boat, but would not volunteer to get off the boat. And so now Bob is like, "Okay, Tony, now you can actually volunteer to actually do the right thing and go first, so the same people don't have to always do it." And Tony was like, "I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't know.
I don't know." And he like, Tony, you up, Tony. And
I feel bad for Nikki in this moment, though. I mean, granted, she didn't get off the boat either, but like, but Nikki's like, "I'm getting caught up in whatever this is between Bob and Tony, and I'm flummoxed about it." But so nobody gets through the funhouse, and we're all back in we're back in the Jeeps, and everybody's driving back, and Tony's like, "I don't know why Bob was acting like that. Like, why me? Why was he going after me?"
I was like, "Because you wouldn't volunteer, but you talk the most. That's why." It was very weird for him not to understand what was going on, but I knew why Bob was going after Tony. And Bob, the drag queen, was like, "All these men are acting like they just don't want to do nothing. They're scared. They don't want to do it." And it was just wild. But Tony and Nikki did end up going first. Of course, like we said, everybody failed. So really couldn't get mad at anybody because nobody made it through. So all of them are failures in this moment. Nobody gets a shield. No money is going into the prize pot. And they had to stand out there in the rain for hours. And for nobody to get any money.
It was so bad.
It was bad. For nobody to get anything, it was kind of ridiculous. But people are upset, and people are still trying to figure out what this was between Bob and Tony, and why did this happen. And people are again making suspicious. Dylan has names. Dylan has people in mind now, and he's sharing them because now Dylan thinks Bob the drag queen is the traitor. It's like, I'm thinking of the people who went after Wells, and it was Robin and it was Bob the drag queen. And I think one of them could, or both of them could be a traitor.
Yeah.
And I was just like,
I mean, it was a really impressive read. It's very, very clear that Dylan is someone who has seen all of these shows, and that is something I will respect. Dylan, I think Dylan is our surprise, really amazing casting choice of this season. Something about how he's playing this game. Everyone is underestimating him because he's like, yeah, you're just the understudy of someone else, but he's playing a pretty strong game. He's getting great reads on basically like, yeah, Bob brought up Wells' name and then dipped from the conversation for the rest of this. Like,
Bob, I mean, Dylan is like the pilot Pete of this season. You don't expect him to do much, but he comes out and he has these really good reads, and you're like, oh, making sense. That does make sense. I get what you're saying. And it's not, and he's on point. Like he's the target.
Oh, he's killing it. Unfortunately, he's killing it against Bob, and I hate that. Like, of all people, I don't know. Not that I want Carolyn to get red, but like, not Bob. Not Bob.
Well, and the really entertaining part about this, though, was friggin' Dylan was going around telling everybody that he was suspicious of Bob, but everybody's like, no. Everyone is like, no, you're wrong.
And everyone runs the information to Bob. Like, there was 4 different people walking over to Bob and being like, hey, Dylan just threw out your name. And Bob immediately goes, I'm going to go settle this.
And Jeremy's like, no, don't tell him, because Jeremy knows he and only one other person was in the room was Dylan when he told him this. So if he goes and confronts Dylan right away, Dylan can also know who told him, like, oh, okay, or Jeremy or this other person. So he kind of was like, I don't want, but Bob is gone. But the same way Jeremy told Bob about Dylan, Bob tells Danielle about Jeremy, saying, I think it might be Danielle. Because Jeremy has told Bob this, and Jeremy has told Carolyn, just look out for Danielle. Just watch Danielle. I don't know. I'm not saying she's a traitor. I'm saying just watch. Just watch. So when Jeremy tells Bob, Bob is like, oh, I got to tell Danielle. Absolutely. So he goes and tells Danielle, and Danielle's like, he said, who said my name? He was like, Jeremy. She's like, okay, say less.
Noted. That's all I need.
Say less.
All I need to hear.
And then Carolyn comes in and she was like, did you hear Jeremy say my name? And Carolyn was like, yeah, he did say, he told me to watch you. He didn't say you were a traitor. He just told me to watch you. And Danielle was like, oof, he got to go.
And then on top of all of this going on, there's this slowly building movement of people against Tony, because Ion was one of those people that threw a vote at the first roundtable, and she threw her vote at Tony. So you have this like trio of Nikki, Chriselle, and Sierra, right? That are all
Gabby.
Gabby, not Sierra. Nikki, Chriselle, and Gabby that are like, maybe it's Tony. We think it's Tony. We're going to rally the troops and try to get him out and try to get Tony out. And we don't really see that, but they say that's what they're doing. So I'm assuming that's what they did. Mess. Like this complete mess. Again, in only the way that the traders can really provide.
And like, here's the thing. The crazy part is word gets back to Rob about it possibly shifting to Tony, but also hearing from Dylan that he thinks it's Bob. And so Rob is like, not that I really care about the traders. Eventually, like at some point, I know Rob is going to turn on all of them. But I think he's like, but at this point, it's too early to go against the traders right now. So I need to possibly do something that will not get it on Bob and onto somebody else. I might have to do some dirty work to make that happen, but we'll see. Maybe it'll come to it. Maybe it won't. We'll see at the round table. And so once they get to the round table, they start talking about everything. And Dylan starts the conversation with his Bob theory. And Bob is like, say what?
Bob
what?
shuts Dylan down in a way I don't think I've ever seen before.
One of my favorite, Bob had two really good sound clips, but the first one we hear pretty early in the roundtable where Bob's like, I've always said that if somebody can build a puzzle, somebody can solve it. So solve the puzzle for us. You don't just get to make the puzzle. You brought this big puzzle, 1,000-piece puzzle, threw it on the table, expected all of us to make it for you, and then you're going to glue it and put it up on your wall and said, I did it. And I'm like,
ooh,
oh,
brilliant.
So, and Dylan's not getting a word in edgewise at this point.
No. No.
So then the conversation kind of moves to Tony from there, and reading the room, you kind of knew it was going to be Tony at this point. But then I can't remember who said it, but somebody had said, if I was going to pick a traitor, like if I'm in the mindset of Alan, I would pick you, Tony, because and then Dylan like tries to bring it back to Bob. And Bob's like, I don't even think you're a traitor. You're just misguided. That should be your drag name. Welcome to the stage, Misguided.
Baby, I will be getting that soundbite. I promise we will have that soundbite by next week. Because
I want to say,
promise you.
Either Dolores, Chriselle, or Gabby just is immediately cracking up. Just like full in their hands.
It's one of those.
Oh my fucking God. And I will say, Bob, thankfully, is now the drag daughter of Misguided under the frame of being misdirection. Thank you. I needed that laugh. Otherwise, I was going to leave.
No, you did good, Jack. That was good. But then
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Like I said, I think you're right, Brooke. I think everybody was looking at Tony, and then Dylan tried to put it back on Bob, and that's when Rob decided, let me step in and make sure to put this nail in this coffin right now, because I needed to not be Bob at this point. So Rob was like, okay, listen, I gave Tony, he said, I hate to do this. I really hate to do this. And he gave us dramatic pauses and everything. I was like, okay, Rob, actor. It's like, I gave Tony my shield, and he actively did not talk to me after that. And I find that suspicious. Like, why would you not speak to the person who gave you safety? You don't even check in with them. You don't see, where their head is at. You're not trying to communicate and stay in a good ally relationship with that person. And I don't understand. Like, I'm not. And Tony was like, so you think I'm a traitor? And he was like, I ain't saying you're a traitor. I'm just saying I find it a little sus that you didn't talk to me.
Well, then on top of that, too, you have Bob Harper before all of this getting into this pretty big argument with Tony at the round table, where Tony's accusing Bob after what had happened at the mission. And Bob's like, well, Tony, I think it's you. And then like doubling down on the accusations that had already been thrown at Tony. And Tony's like, since when did you think it was me? And Bob Harper goes, right now.
Baby.
Bob Harper bringing good TV. I am here for it.
Like the most honest, like, I am done with you. This is my final stance. You have fucked yourself kind of vibe. And we were talking about it. Like, Rob's move is incredible because that move of Tony not talking to him literally is not relevant to anything. There is no reason why that implies suspicion in any sense, because simply could have just not talked to him. There's a ton of reasons. But Rob's way of beautifully spinning it into suspicion and just adding a massive tally mark to everything else is genuinely really impressive. And it's one of the strongest traitor moves I've seen in this series period.
I will give Rob his flowers on this one thing.
Yes.
I will be honest.
Absolutely.
As much as I do not care for Rob, as a reality TV contestant, not a huge fan, he did very well at this roundtable. I think the only traitor that outperformed him at this roundtable was Bob. And I think that's just because Bob showed masterful deflection skills. I was very impressed by Bob. But the other thing I wanted to touch on was Jeremy. Jeremy's like, look, Tony voted me out, cost me $1 million. If anybody in this room has a right to not trust Tony and want to get him back, it's me. I don't think it's Tony. Right.
And that is why Rob needed to step in.
Mm-hmm. And I gotta say, I love Jeremy. Love Jeremy to death. Right. Yep. But in this moment, at this point of the roundtable, there was not really any alternative, I don't think.
The other alternative was Bob.
But that's the thing. I don't think
it was ever going to
somehow it got completely moved off Tony. I don't think it would have been Bob. I don't think there was a single other person at this roundtable that was going to write down Bob the drag queen tonight other than Dylan.
I'm going to say this, and this is why I agree with you, Brooke. Bob standing up for the women on that boat has secured Bob in the women's club. They are not going to turn their back on Bob right now. Now, if it comes to evidence piling on, and it gets to that point where, okay, Bob, then it's you. Then yes. But at this point, this early on, absolutely not. Bob had their back. Bob was defending the women. So they are not voting Bob. Dylan does not have the social capital in this game to get them to vote for Bob. And the way Bob ate Dylan up at that table, Dylan didn't have a comeback. And he learned that very quickly, that if you're going to come for someone with receipts, well, you're going to come for someone, you better have receipts, you better have your talking points, and you better not let them out talk you. You have to come back, go tit for tat, back to back with that person. Bob shut Dylan down. And he had no words to speak. He had nothing left to say except, And it was like, you can't win that way, especially not against a drag queen. Maybe you're not winning that way.
Not only against a drag queen, queen that has been actively gaslighting Monet for basically a decade at this point.
Correct. I also want to add in something really intelligent that Bob did here, right? Bob did not immediately respond to Dylan by saying, well, now I think you're a traitor because you're coming after me. And that doesn't make any sense. Bob says, I don't even think you're a traitor. I just think you're misguided. And I know we're going to get caught in that should be your drag name misguided. Welcome to the misguided thing. But like, that's funny. But that line is brilliant. Okay. Because it keeps Dylan thinking that Bob is just a faithful who's really passionate. Right?
Yeah.
Passionate faithfuls exist. We've seen them dozens of
several times. Absolutely.
And I think that's really something that might connect with Dylan a little bit more. Because we did hear after the roundtable, Dylan was like, I still think Bob's a traitor, but I don't have the ammo to get it done right now. So I'm gonna sit on it. I'm gonna wait a bit, and we're gonna come back to it later when I think we have more opportunity to get it done.
Yeah.
Which he should have done in the first place.
It's really
because honestly, people told him when he said it in the first place that he was going to go after Bob, they said that's not a good idea. It's not a good idea.
It's not going to work.
Bad idea. Jeremy told him that is not going to work unless you have all the evidence that you need to go after him. It's not a good idea after them. And Dylan was just like, well, I'm going to do it. And then afterwards, Jeremy reminded him, you got ate up.
Why?
This is why you don't go after big personalities without
you had
receipts.
to learn. You had to learn.
Yeah.
And now Dylan has learned.
Yeah.
Well,
but
speaking of Jeremy, before we get to the result of the vote, speaking of Jeremy doesn't vote for Tony, but Jeremy has one of my favorite moments of this entire episode. It's so stupid and so small. He flips his board, puts it in the thing, goes, I voted for Tom. And he says it like under his breath and like not happy at all because he knows what's about to happen and he knows who's going home. He just doesn't want to contribute to it because Jeremy's a good dude and he also doesn't think Tony's a traitor. But he's like, voted for Tom. And I'm just like, thank you.
Throwaway vote. He's like, it's a throwaway vote.
No, but it wasn't the throwaway vote. It was just the way he said it. It was just,
yeah. I just like how he said it was a throwaway vote. He was like, I voted for Tom.
mm-hmm.
It's a throwaway vote, and that's what it is. And I was like, okay. But the person who got pretty much all the votes, except for Jeremy's vote for Tom, Dylan's vote for Bob,
Bob and Wes's votes for Ivar.
For Ivar.
Mm-hmm.
It was
and then,
Tony.
Yeah. And then Tony's vote for Bob Harper.
Yes.
Which
sure.
Yeah.
Oh,
sure.
and Ivar's vote for Robin because
why? There we go.
Yeah.
Right.
We get the circle of truth, whatever they're calling it. Yeah.
Circle of truth.
Tony says he's a faithful, and the group's like, what the hell? And then he looks at Rob and he calls him a sellout. Which kind of reminded me of when Rob said to Coach after he voted him out in Heroes vs. Villains, "You are a little man." And like it had the same energy.
Yeah. Rob handled it well. Like, I don't know why he called me a sellout. All I did was say what he didn't do. I didn't say he was a traitor. I just said it was suspicious that he didn't talk to me after giving him the shield, but whatever. And in that Boston Rob kind of way, he kind of just like played it off like, I don't know why he did that, but it's whatever. I didn't do anything. So you knew what you were doing, but you did it. And
well, Julie.
Then we everybody's like, this is crazy. I don't know. Then we find out, and I know I'm jumping a little bit, but we find out that the Traitors are not going to the turret tonight, that they have a mission. A mini mission that they have to pull off. And I thought, oh Lord, are we doing the shallot again? Because why? Don't want to do that.
We can't. Too suspicious.
We're not.
Too suspicious.
It's
we
too
can't
suspicious.
do that again.
Can't do it again. So we don't do that. But what we do have is the Traitors have to go into the secret bookcase room,
the wine cellar
room, and fill out this paper in the coffin of three people who they're going to put on the short list, and you have to put them on the scroll, put it in the thing, and then these three people are going to be put in a coffin tonight, and then the Traitors will
in front of everyone.
Yeah, and then the Traitors will come and put the final nail in the coffin for the person that they want to murder, but they have to do this in front of everybody. So people, they are wandering around the house, looking for each other, trying to figure out where to go, what to do. Carolyn is walking in. She is looking suspicious as I don't know what, because she walk in the room, she count, and then she walk out. And then she'll walk back into another room, and then she'll walk back out. Everybody's walking around. They can't find each other. Finally, Danielle and Bob find Rob, and then they try to sneak off into this wine cellar. I was like, why do we do that? Why didn't we just meet in the room, say who we wanted to say, and one person go into the wine cellar room and write down all the names? Like, why do we all need to be in this wine cellar room? I don't know. I would have been like,
I mean, I assume maybe it was a production thing of you can only talk about this in the room with it.
Maybe.
I feel like might have been like they happened to find each other. They were near their wine cellar. They knew it was going to be an area that nobody else was going to be at, probably. And that's why they made this hold there in the first place. And that's why they went to the wine cellar. I'm not going to say it was a good decision to all group up there at the same time and talk about it, because eventually Carolyn even finds them in the wine cellar.
Yes.
But the conversation was really interesting because they get told that they can have one of the Traitors be in one of the coffins. Mm-hmm. And Bob is like, we should put Carolyn in the coffin. And
Rob is like, no.
Yeah, no, because then now Carolyn's going to get sus thrown on her, and it doesn't make any sense.
They'll already assume that one of the trailers are going to be in there.
So they quickly decide on Jeremy. And
Danielle wants Jeremy gone. Yes.
And Nikki. And then it was kind of a debate for the last person. There was a few names that got floated around. It wasn't like a discussion. It was more like, well, I think it should be this person. It could be this person. Like that kind of discussion. So who do you all think is going to be that third person in the coffin? Because that's where we're left off at the moment is they hadn't written down that third name yet.
I would have loved it to be Tom, but I don't know if it's going to be Tom.
I don't think it's going to be. I think if they can't come to any reasonable consensus, they are just going to throw Sam in. That way, if too many things are suspicious or they get too many bad vibes, they can kill Sam because it's an easy option of like a not connected to anyone.
I think they're going to throw in Ivor. And because that seemed like
the bluff.
That seemed like where they were leaning, but also I don't think it matters. I think if this is just me and this is just my perspective, I think Nikki is a goner. I don't see a world where she's making it past this round, unless and only if Danielle manages to convince everyone to get out Jeremy. I don't know if Rob is going to want to lose 2 Survivor dudes back to back.
Because then, I mean, if we're using the housewife logic, suddenly the other 2 Survivor people look very suspicious and both of them are hits. Mm-hmm. So at that point, Rob has to target Carolyn in order to get that suspicion off of him.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Which, I mean, I will note they were willing to do because all 3 of them, as we already said, were willing to basically throw Carolyn in the coffin, except for Rob because he knew what that would entail. Mm-hmm. And the minute it's brought up to Carolyn, she's like, no, what the fuck? No.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
I think Nikki's probably going to head home here, unfortunately. And I think that's mainly because Ivor has consistently had a few people come after him to some degree. Because Wes voted for Ivor at this vote. He was 1 vote away from going home in the first round. I think they're just trying to keep him there as like an active shield in front of the group. I think that makes sense.
Getting rid of Ivor now could shift it to Wes, and maybe that's something that they would want to do. But I'm like, somebody else voted for Ivor, not just Wes.
Bob the drag queen has voted for
so you
Ivor
can't do that
twice. So they can't kill Ivor.
I think
that. Which
I honestly think killing Nikki is brilliant here.
Yeah, Nikki would be the best choice.
Anybody angry? Nikki is just kind of lingering, and I think if you take her out now, it makes the most sense.
And it breaks up that 3.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Personally, if it were me and I had the option of who I would put in here, I would have thrown Chrishell in here quick.
Me too. Me too.
Because nobody has said her name. Other people have said Tom's name. Tom's name has went around. Chrishell's name has went around by one person really after the first little 2-second conversations everybody had, and that's been Tom. Nobody else is stuck on it,
and no one's convinced by it either.
Exactly.
Like everyone's yeah, bullshit.
I don't think they should kill Chrishell. I think that would be like a little overkill, pun intended. But I think Nikki is probably the best choice here. Unfortunately,
I do think so. Unfortunately,
I do think so. I agree. As much as I hate it, I agree. I think she probably is gone, but it is what it is at this point.
We also have to talk about Gabby after because Carolyn and Danielle were leaving the wine cellar, and Gabby just fully walks in on them leaving the wine cellar together. Mm-hmm. So we'll see what comes of that.
We'll see. We will see what happens with that. I do want to do a quick draft update. We do have our draft chart here that is going to come up. And we've all lost somebody.
And I lost 2 somebodies.
And you lost 2 somebodies.
Yeah, you lost 2 somebodies, and you have a team of only faithfuls, Brook.
It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate, but I will say, I am just happy that I didn't lose a third person because that almost happened. It came very close to happening. So I'm okay with it. Lana, you have 2 of the traitors. Jack, you have the other 2. So,
yep.
I mean, to be fair, I didn't have an opportunity to draft Danielle or Bob, but
But is what. Oh, go ahead.
It's going to be interesting. I mean, we already have suspicions of Nikki going, so Lana, that probably is the end of that for you. But you do have Rob and you have Dylan, who both likely make a deep run into the season. So I think at least those two and Danielle, you're going to be around for a long time.
I'm not that worried. I don't think people are gunning for Sam yet, but I don't think I think he's going to go in for a while, but not to the end. I don't think.
I think Sam's going to be
Unless he's recruited.
I don't think he's going to get banished.
No, he's definitely going to be a murderer for
Yeah.
sure. For sure.
So, tell us in the comments, who do you all think is going to win the draft, and why is it Jack?
Why is it me?
I mean, I don't think you're that wrong, Brook, but it's okay.
I don't think
okay.
you're that wrong either, but I was not going to say.
To be fair, I
did
did
not
not
that bold.
think the 7th round draft pick of Carolyn was going to be this monumental, but apparently I was totally wrong.
We were wrong. We were all
wrong.
We were all wrong about Carolyn.
Okay,
we were wrong.
Full disclosure,
but,
Jack. Okay, if Tom Sandoval was not available to draft and you had a choice between drafting Sam and Carolyn, would you have drafted Sam?
I probably still would have drafted Carolyn only because I knew more who Carolyn was.
Valid.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I don't mean to cut y'all off, but I do have to go to another recording. So we're going to wrap this up. We thank y'all for sticking around for the 2 hours that we talked about episode 1, 2, and 3 of US Traitors. Y'all know what it is. We expect long premiere nights, so I wasn't that worried. But hit the subscribe button, hit the follow button, notification bell, all the things to say you support us. You can follow us on all of our YouTube channels. Those links will be in the description below, as well as our Patreon, our audio podcast links, and our socials at the Cup Pod on Blue Sky, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and Instagram. I think I don't say it, but and you can get your cup merch, LanaCheeseCreations.etsy.com. Link is all in the description below, and we go get out of here. So cheers, y'all.
Cheers.
Bye.